Bentley! No! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel guys. It's your boy Sly Lancey, and for today's video guys, we're unfortunately gonna be talking about the worst Sly Cooper moments in Sly Cooper's history. For this video, basically as the title says, we're just going over some of the saddest, most graphic, or just most what the fuck moments from this entire franchise. So be wary, there's gonna be a lot of crazy stuff in this list. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready too. Let's get to it. Number 10. General Tsao steals our laptop from Sly 3. In this crazy WTF moment, we have one of the villains in this franchise actually breaking into our safe house, which has never happened before, and stealing our ThiefNet computer, which had all our plans on it. This moment makes this list because, first off, no villain has ever done this before aside from Bison. But even then, Bison, it took him a couple of worlds to figure it out. General Tsao figured it out in the very first couple of seconds in that mission that we were trying to do. Very first few sections. And so the fact that he figured out what was going on, broke in and stole our whole plan, and just compromised it completely, that's when folks knew that this guy was for real. That moment alone was enough to put General Tsao in the top 3 villains for me, and everything else afterwards just cemented his status there. Number 9. Murray leaves the Cooper gang from Sly Comic issue number 2. In what is arguably one of the most saddest moments in this entire franchise, after so many recently failed missions along with the crippling of one of his best friends, Murray's been traumatized to the point where he can't work with the Cooper gang no more, feeling that everything that's happened to them was all his fault. And because of this, he decides leaving the Cooper gang was the best thing for everyone involved. Despite the efforts of Sly and Bentley to convince Murray to stay, Murray just wasn't having any of it, feeling that this was a journey that he had to go on in order to find himself once again in the world. If you have been following Sly up until this point, this moment is easily one of the saddest moments for anybody reading or watching it in the video game. Knowing how important Murray was to the team, not just as a member of the team, but as a best friend since childhood, this was arguably one of the hardest things for the team to go through. Luckily, the moment didn't last too long and Murray rejoined the gang afterwards, but again, this moment left a huge mark in the history of the Cooper gang. Number 8. Sly gets eaten alive by the monster from Sly 3. This moment in particular isn't technically canon to the story, but it is enacted if you do get a certain game over screen. So during the mission Carmelita to the rescue, we have to rescue Sly from the monster. However, if Carmelita dies or drowns or whatever, then there's a scene that shows Sly literally getting thrown into the mouth of the monster and getting eaten up. This moment is definitely very graphic, and I've seen a lot of people say that this moment scarred them as little kids. The only reason this moment ranks so low on this list is literally because it's not technically canon to the story, and if you was a truly really good Sly Cooper player back in the day, then you probably didn't even see this moment at all. Number 7. Bison steals all our clockwork parts from Sly 2. Even though I did discuss earlier that what General Tsao did was just crazy faster than what Bison did, it was more so what was at stake in Sly 2 that I ultimately decided that Bison's entry deserved to be higher. Because the clockwork parts, obviously, clockwork's a bigger threat to the world than what General Tsao was. The fact that all our hard work and progress got taken away from us right underneath us and then sold to basically the leader of the entire group, and it came from the the one character that no one thought would be able to pull something off like that, which was Bison. It's like taking 3 steps forward just to go 2 steps back. This is the main reason why this entry ranks number 7 on this list, because of how much work we put in just for all of it to get taken away in that short of an instance. Number 6. Okay, I don't even need to say the entry for this, because most people already know what I'm talking about with this one. So let's just get this out the way. Obviously, it's the biggest WTF moment in this entire franchise in terms of weirdness. that I'm not even gonna laugh. Let's just move on from this entry. But yeah, it gets number 6 on this list because it was placed in here obviously for fan service reasons, but it's not going higher than 6. And no, I'm not making a joke this time. It's not going higher than 6 mainly because it doesn't have like any heartbreaking scenario to it. It's just a very, very funny moment that goes into the weird section of Sly. Number 5. Sly 4's ending from Sly 4. The ending of Sly 4 makes number 5 on this list mainly because it really just left a huge cliffhanger on the entire series. And you could have just easily said the entire game of Sly 4, but that would have been disrespectful, because there's a lot of good elements to Sly 4, but the ending is what left a bad taste in a lot of Sly fans' mouth. Up until the point where it's 2024 and the Sly franchise is dead, and there's nothing coming for Sly at this point in time. So the fact that Sly is most likely not going to get a happy ending or some type of resolution to what happened in Sly 4 is just very heartening and saddening, and it's the reason why this particular moment makes the top 5 worst list. But to go a bit further into it, let's just say that even though I love that they brought every ancestor back that we worked with in the game to help us out in the end, the boss fight at the end is one of the worst boss fights ever. And again, the cliffhanger climax ending that they left with is just very, very insulting. Number 4. Neyla's betrayal from Sly 2. This one hurts. This one definitely hurts if you're a diehard Sly Cooper fan or a huge Neyla fan like myself. This particular moment felt like what Shepard did to the Task Force 141 in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Where you felt like you could trust Neyla because she was helping us get the clockwork parts along the way. However, most likely pushed by the desire of greed or immortality, she betrayed us in order to work with the Claw Gang to get the clockwork parts for herself, and then that way she could become the Clockler. In Rajan's drug temple, where we basically were trying to get the second half of the Clockwork Heart off of Rajan, we were basically getting ready to stop him with the help of Neyla, but Neyla just left us behind to fend Rajan by ourselves. Sly ended up getting KO'd, and Murray had to fend off Rajan by himself. Murray's able to fend off Rajan by himself, and that's when Neyla appears back open, but she brought Interpol with her. And not only that, to sweeten the deal, she decided to turn in Carmelita as well, framing her for a crime she didn't even commit. Contessa places all 3 of them under arrest, leaving Bentley to fend by himself and figure out how he has to break free the Cooper Gang and Carmelita as well. Neyla's betrayal was definitely one of the most irredeemable moments for a lot of fans in this franchise, even though there are still some people like myself who think that Neyla could have redeemed herself at the end of the story. I just don't think it would have been possible given how the story was progressing. It was one of 2 ways this woman was going to go out, and it was either going to be in a blaze of glory or in a blaze of fire, and unfortunately it just happened to be a blaze of fire. Neyla's betrayal gets number 4 on the list mainly because it really did just come out of nowhere, and it really was out of left field, but it made sense to the story plot itself, and painted not only just Neyla but a lot of people that the Cooper Gang would have to deal with in the future as just untrustworthy people. Number 3. Penelope's betrayal from Sly 4. We got another betrayal in this franchise. The only difference is, while a lot of people think that the story point with Neyla actually made a lot of sense, this story point for many fans felt that it made no sense whatsoever and that there was no justification for Neyla's betrayal. And as to where I'm one of the few who can actually get behind the betrayal and can actually see like there could have been story potential there, but again, I can understand both sides. This particular reason and particular clash in opinions is one of the reasons why Penelope's betrayal gets number 3 on this list, because it was really one of the most polarizing, divisive moments in the entire franchise. Because Penelope and Bentley were dating at that point in time, and for Penelope to throw that all away just for fame and money, while also leaving Bentley basically depressed afterwards, it just didn't make any sense for a lot of Sly fans out there. And not even just outside the Sly universe, but Sly, Bentley, and Carmelita just couldn't make any sense of why Penelope would betray us like that. And in some ways, this betrayal definitely hurts a lot more than the Neyla betrayal did, because we knew Penelope longer than we knew Neyla. Number 2. Sly's family gets killed in Sly 1. While the betrayals of Neyla and Penelope are definitely some of the worst moments you'll ever see in this franchise, we cannot forget about the fact that none of this would have ever happened if it wasn't for Sly's parents getting killed. Sly's whole life changed completely after that. Like, if his parents didn't kill, he probably still becomes a thief, but it probably doesn't get to the extent that it got to. Knowing that this big entity in Clockwood hiring all these goons to help him not only kill Sly's family, but basically destroy his livelihood and life afterwards. It's one of the ugliest things you'll ever see in any type of fiction story out there, just because of how gruesome and cold-hearted it is. The game is literally telling you to your face that this business is not worth getting into. It is not worth sacrificing your life or risking or endangering others for. And while Sly managed to make the most out of his life afterwards, and he seems to be okay, along with his best friends right now, this moment definitely started the way for how things would turn out going forward for Sly. Even though this moment was very dark and graphic, what he's made up for since really overshines his moment, and it's the reason why it only gets number 2 on this list. Number 1 on this list, however, really felt like rock bottom for the gang, and I mean really felt like rock bottom for the gang. But before we get into the number 1 spot, we're gonna go through some honorable mentions. So, I'll see you guys in a bit. Bentley doubts his friendship with Sly from Sly 3. This particular moment could have easily made the top 10 if Sly 3 had just pushed that story point just a bit further. Dr. M killing his guard over a minor mistake from Sly 3. This just shows to you how evil Dr. M really is. No more clue bottles in Sly 3. Well, at least they returned in Sly 4. Okay, everybody, we are at the number 1 spot on this list. And for the number 1 spot on this list, it is Bentley gets crippled from Sly 2. Yep, this moment still remains the worst moment in the entire franchise for basically a multitude of reasons. Firstly, seeing Bentley's character development throughout this entire game and seeing how much he became from very fearful of everything and overly analytical of everything to being more confident, having more swagger, and learning how to do things on his own. The character progression he had in this game was incredible, and to see all that just get rewarded by being basically crippled for it was just absolutely heartbreaking to see. Second of all, the consequences that happened afterwards. Murray ended up leaving the gang afterwards, which ended up being number 10 or number 9 on this list if I remember correctly. And then Sly ended up getting arrested from Carmelita afterwards. Even though Clockwood's threat was finally gone for good afterwards, it just meant that everything afterwards would never be the same again for the Cooper gang. And number 3 is basically the opposite of number 2, in which case the prices that were paid to get to this point. Seeing the amount of people that got killed or died all because of the Clockwood parts, or that were involved in this indirectly and still got hurt and killed, it's just very saddening to see. Seeing characters like Neyla, who I absolutely love, just end up, giving away her life to the power and ability to become godlike, it's just very sad to see. Also seeing John Bison frozen back in time again after trying to help penguins is another sad moment. Contessa literally murdered someone just so she could gain his riches. Arpeggio giving his entire life not only wanting to fly, but also trying to be immortal, just to lose that ability at the very end. Again, the amount of greed and corruptness that was going on in this game to get to this point, and to see how it all backfired on pretty much every single one of these characters, just absolutely insane and saddening. The only one who didn't suffer any consequences was Carmelita, who, ironically, is on the side of good. Well, lawfully good anyway. But yeah, Sly 2's ending really shook up a lot of things for the franchise going forward, and it just like redirected the course of Sly completely afterwards. And in some ways, you can argue that this is the worst moment for some Sly fans, because there are still some Sly fans out there that considers 2 as the best game in the series, and they haven't liked the game since 2, which is actually also very sad if you think about it. Again, this moment in particular, Sly 2's ending, is just arguably the worst moment in the entire franchise for a multitude of reasons. And with that, guys, we are done with today's video, guys. What'd you guys think of my opinions on the top 10 worst Sly Cooper moments? Did you agree? Did you disagree? As always, leave your comments and opinions down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be the top 10 greatest Sly Cooper moments of all time. And this video, I'm hoping I can get it out by Christmas Day, but I don't know. I got sick a couple days ago, so my schedule kind of got wonky. Plus Sonic 3 came out, and again, I highly recommend watching Sonic 3. It's a really great film, even for non-Sonic fans. But yeah, I'm hoping I can get this video out by Christmas, and if not Christmas, then I'll at least get it out by New Year's Eve at the latest. Okay? Okay. So, alright. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you give. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.